Well, Javier Farje is a Latin America analyst. He says the United States may not follow through on its threats.
This sounds more like pressure on Maduro rather than a threat of invasion. The New York Times reported that Maduro spoke to him last week, just the day before Trump announced that they might start land-based operations in Venezuela to fight traffic, the drug traffic. Now, we all know, everybody knows, every expert under the sun knows that the drug traffic is an excuse because only 10% of the drug traffic to the United States goes via the Caribbean Sea, from the UN drug report to the DEA report, which is part of the American government. And 80% goes via the Pacific, 10% via the west coast of Africa. And furthermore, these reports say that Venezuela is not the main source of drug traffic. So everybody knows this is an excuse. Now, why would Trump and Maduro speak the day before Trump announced that they will start land-based operations? That's very puzzling because it might be some kind of diplomacy by the back door. This is the biggest deployment of troops in the area, but it doesn't mean necessarily that they are going to invade. So it remains to be seen. And I was speaking to people in Venezuela just before we went on air, and they were telling me people are not really concerned about that because they are far too busy trying to survive in a very difficult economic crisis in Venezuela. So it is a threat, but it looks more like a bullying to put pressure on President Maduro to step down. Of course, he's not going to do that. Furthermore, Trump is expecting some cracks within the armed forces to hand over Maduro to the United States. But so far, based on the information I have from people who know the armed forces in Venezuela, there's no cracks visible anyway. So this sounds more like a threat rather than a sort of something which is going to be imminent, an invasion of Venezuela.